Well, welcome to Final Score. I'm Shane Seeley, and of course, Final Score this evening, powered by Ensure Max Protein. Well, it's our weekly sports show where, we'll talk about all of the headlines and newsmakers, or at least some of them, not all, but some of the headlines and newsmakers of the week. Tonight, the focus, the Sandy Lane Gold Cup, hours away from running at the Garrison Savannah, who are among the favorites. We will look at the lineup, and we will dare to pick a winner. Also, the Windies, well, what can we say about them? They lost the first test against host South Africa inside 3 days. The main problem, the perennial problem, the batting. We'll examine what's going wrong. But first, the Gold Cup. And the 9 horses to contest the 2023 Sandy Lane Gold Cup are in post position. Let's look at number 1. That would be Vividly. Number 2, coming out of the stables, American Diamond. In bracket number 3 will be So Suave. 4, It's a Gamble. 5, Tallahatchie Bridge. 6, Brilliant News. 7, Bodhi Tap. 8, Renaissance Frolic. And 9, Mohawk. So there you see it, the lineup for the Sandy Lane Gold Cup. And joining us live to look at the chances of the entries there is veteran horse racing commentator Robert Corbin. Of course, you, our viewers, you can make your contributions and answer questions to Corbin here with us and send them via social media. WhatsApp number is 228-5562, while our Facebook handles are CBC Barbados or cbcnews.bb. You can also call live on 228-5562. So let's go back to Robert now, as we get ready to talk about everything Sandy Lane Gold Cup. Before we get into the race itself, we want you to paint a picture of what the Garrison will look like tomorrow, those who are here in for the event. This is expected, the first one coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. How is it shaping up?
Well, Shane, it's been a long time since we spoke about the Gold Cup. It's been a long time since this race has captured the imagination of us here in Barbados. So without any further delay, first of all, I want to say a very special good evening to all our viewers and to offer my sincere gratitude to the team at CBC for giving me the honor to speak on behalf of the Barbados Turf Club this evening on your show. So I feel it's important at this time to open and share with the public some of the people that are involved. We have people like, this race is like the Rihanna Super Bowl. She had her moments. She had her moment some time ago, and now the Gold Cup has got its moment. So you've got people like Jeff Lifton, who's here. He's very much a part of a syndicate that would have purchased America's 2022 Horse of the Year, Flightline. That horse was purchased for $1 million at the Keeneland sale. And Jeff is here with us. He loves Barbados. He's here with his wife. That horse had 6 starts and earned over $4.5 million. So just to give you some idea of some of the people that are here, and Jeff is one of those people. Of course, Mr. Ramsey is no stranger to winning the race. Mr. Ramsey is racehorses from the US all the way through Europe. He's earned over $98 million in horse earnings. He's had over 9,900 horses face the starter. He's won over 2,200 races across the globe. So here we are with all these influential people. This has to speak volumes for the economy in Barbados, even though it's just maybe a week or 2 weeks of activities going on. The Garrison was absolutely a buzz this evening. I was there from about 4:30 until about 6:30. So that's the picture as I see it, and one of the in terms of the horses, oh my gosh, Mr. Ramsey's horses are in magnificent looking condition.
All right, well, as you're getting to the horses, let's go as their position to the start, as their position in the starters list, starting with number 1, running out of gate number 1, Vividly. How is he looking?
Well, she's fairly precocious looking mare. Well, when we say a mare, we mean that the female horse is older than 3 years old. A filly would be a female horse that's 4 years or younger. So Vividly is a mare. She was born in England. She was bred by one of the world's leading stud operations, operation by the name of Juddmonte, and they're the kind of operation that are accustomed to handling horses, you know, in excess of $1 million, $2, $3 million. So she is no slouch. She's a magnificent looking. She's typical woman. She knows she's a good looker. She struts her stuff, but she is a real lady. You know, you can see her in the video. She's just so cool, so calm, so pleasant, so perfect. She's really, truly, she's really a lady.
Mm. And then you go to number 2, American Diamond.
I cannot honestly tell you too much about American Diamond. I saw one of his races. He seems to possess an early amount of speed. I'm cautiously optimistic about his chances, tell you that, along with his stablemate, Tallahatchie Bridge. But I tend to prefer, in terms of the times and the buyer speed figures, I tend to lean towards Tallahatchie Bridge. And most people might say, you know, that I'm going the way of Patrick Husbands, but I mean, the bottom line remains that I'm sure Patrick would have had the pick of the 2 rides. So the fact that he has not only picked Tallahatchie Bridge, but he's not riding the horse he won the Coolmore with, which will be coming up out of gate number 3, and that's So Suave. So American Diamond must have a shot. The thing about this sport, Shane, is that you do not buy horses, ship them, pay jockeys, and then you cut corners in race day preparation. It makes no sense. There's no economics in it. So we will have to believe and trust that Mr. Ramsey is here with all of his guns blazing.
Well, you mentioned 3 horses there as you talked about American Diamond. So let's start with the first of the 3, which is So Suave. I like the name and the jockey as well.
Well, Antonio Bishop is what I call, not that he's not an average rider on any given day, but he tends to really showcase himself on these big days. He was lucky to win 1 Gold Cup in the Stewards Room. I believe it was some years ago when Show Me the Money would have suffered that DQ, and he would have had 2nd place with Zoom. So Antonio would have been promoted and they would have won the Gold Cup. But apart from that, Antonio has won every single major event on the Turf Club's racing calendar. He works for the sponsors of the day's racing, which is of course is Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who are the owners, co-owners of the hotel. And to have a job like that and work for those kind of people who are so influential and who are so powerful, you have to be able to ride. So without a shadow of a doubt, So Suave must have a chance. We see this horse winning the Coolmore here with Patrick. Patrick has not asked this horse 1 single question up to now and won easily. Must have a chance.
Okay. All right, so everyone must like It's a Gamble, especially with Jalon.
Yep.
We're gonna let's rope in some of the other horses really quickly because you got Brilliant News, Bodie Tap, Renaissance, Frolic, and Mohawk.
Right. Mohawk, probably one of the most interesting horses in the field, owned by Melrose Stables, which of course is operated by Mr. Peter Odell, and trained by Robert Pierce, who's no stranger to winning the Gold Cup. He did it in back-to-back years with Dorset. This horse, as a yearling, costs $925,000 green. And when I say green, I mean US dollars, folks. So he is by one of America's most celebrated stallions, a horse by the name of Uncle Mo, who himself amassed over $1.6 million in earnings. And hence his progeny tend to be a little bit more on the pricey side. So probably one of the reasons why he was such an expensive horse in the beginning. But I believe once he faces the starter, Rashid Hughes, again, no stranger to winning this race, he will have a shot.
Okay, so who's your pick? My pick right now, looking at the list, is It's a Gamble. I'll go with the Garrison Bully, Jalon Samuels. Who's your pick for the Gold Cup?
Nothing wrong with that. I am leaning, as I said, towards Tallahatchie Bridge. So Suave must have a shot. And my toss-up for 3rd will be probably either Vividly or American Diamond. But I mean, if I had to pick one horse, to be quite honest with you, I can't say.
Okay, well, We'll wait and see. All eyes will be on the Garrison Savannah tomorrow. I know you will be there, Robert. I mean, all the best to those fans who will head there and place their bets. All the best to them. But it will be an interesting and expected to be a class race. Thank you so much, Robert, for your time, man.
Thank you too, and once again, good evening and welcome to everybody who is viewing, and good luck at the Garrison tomorrow, folks.
Yeah, good luck to all of the jockeys and owners, and of course, you can't leave out the horses as well. So we got to move on to cricket. You know what happened there. The West Indies would have lost in 3 days. The batting woes, that's what we'll be focusing on today. Should have been day 4 of the first test against South Africa, but here we are with post-match analysis. So the former Windies batsman, Philo Wallace, he joins Final Score next, right here. So don't go anywhere. Switching our focus now to the first test, the Windies versus South Africa, where the Windies lost by 87 runs. More importantly, worst about the loss is they did that inside of 3 days. Scores in the match, South Africa 342 and 116. A good century in there from the top order for South Africa. West Indies 212 and 159. To analyze this letdown, that's what it is. The letdown is, we have Barbados and Windies legend here with us, commentator and administrator. He's done it all with the West Indies. Joining us live from the UK is Philo Wallace. Philo, it's good to have you back. Here, I mean, last week we were talking about the prospects, hoping for the best, and the West Indies, true to form, did what they did best. 44 wickets falling in less than 3 days. Let's get this out of the way first, though. Did the pitch at Centurion play a part in this result? Not hearing you there, Philo. I think you got to turn that mic on because I know you have.
Sorry,
got
good
you
night,
know.
Shane.
We got
Thanks
you
for
know.
having me on your show. It's a big disappointment, yes. Centurion, I thought the pitch was not a true Centurion pitch. When I last played, it was quite grassy, and it was good for batting. But this one was a little dry, but you could still bat on it. Ada Markham showed us in the first innings that once you apply yourself, you can get runs. He got 100 after coming back into the test squad. But again, it comes down to West Indies, the batters, not applying themselves at all in that first innings.
So you mentioned the batters. What else are among those chief reasons for this defeat?
I think when you look at the batters, the techniques again are being shown up by quality bowlers. When you look at a lot of our batters, still leg side of the ball, Shane, and again the bouncing ball is giving us problems. So it's a concern, for director Jimmy Adams, who is there, and for the performance mentor and Brian Lara. We know that we have the talent, but they need to just fight a bit harder. Too many loose shots outside the yard stump, guys not moving quick enough, and end up and just fending balls to slip. The South Africans are good slip fielders.
And the thing is, sometimes you would have some sympathy for the West Indies in this case. They're facing a top-class bowling lineup. Rabada, Norkia, probably the best, most unsung fast bowler right now. They do have a good, and then Jansen, the left armour, coming from a real high angle of very tall fast bowler. So you can understand it being a bit challenging. But why exactly? I mean, you're seeing some starts, you're seeing some half centuries from some of the batters, but no one seems to really take that getting in. You got your sight in, you're seeing the ball, you're feeling the ball on the bat, you're past 50, they're not taking it to the next level.
No, they're not, because in South Africa, the pitch is always offer the seam or something. If you feel you're in and you try to play too many shots, you get out. You still have to be tight. You have to be disciplined. Captain Craig Bradford spoke about it in his interview. It's a mental thing. You have to be very mentally prepared in South Africa, because any mistake and you're out. I've been there on a test tour. You make one mistake and you're out. I think you start to doubt yourself. And we're only playing 2 test matches, which makes it even harder for those guys who've played that first test match and lost it in 3 days. So you need to be on your A game, which we weren't. And we caught wanting again. If you look at some of our players, you see them, they're nervous. To me, some of them look afraid of the bouncing ball. And I heard in the interview from Jermaine Blackwood, he's stressing on that they're bowling fast. But when you're going to sea, you expect to see fish. If you go to South Africa, you see fast bowlers, they're going to bowl fast. So you must expect fast bowlers to bowl fast. And again, it's pace. Pace makes you do funny things as a batter.
All right, so it's clear to see the batting is a big part of the flaw. The bowlers did their part. Talk about the bowling unit. Let's talk about some of the positive things. The bowling unit did pretty well.
Yes, when you look at the bowlers took 20 wickets. But obviously, West Indies the loss. You look at Alzarri Joseph, who continues to improve, and he's showing his form and his class. He's bowling at good pace, good lines. I'm happy for him to see that he got his first 5 wicket haul in South Africa on a surface that helped him. And we saw Roach actually pulling out the stops in the second innings to pick up 5 wickets. And I'm happy for Kemar Roach, because on the way towards, he's not that effective, but he showed his class in that second innings and picked up 5 good wickets. And we're hoping that can continue into the second test match at Centurion, which should be even a quicker pitch on higher altitude. So the bowlers, yes, have done their part. The only disappointment for me in the bowlers maybe would have been a Kyle Mears, who didn't really get more out of the surface, and maybe Roston Chase as well. Jason held his own, and obviously we know he's Mr. Tight and bowls that Niagara length. But the bowlers have done their job. I don't think you can blame the bowlers. It's come down to the batters. Those guys, those 11 guys, and you call them 11, who are out there to score runs for West Indies.
All right, so when we come back, we'll look at some of those same names you called and a few more on the batting side of things. And we'll look ahead to the second test as well, because a lot has been said about the bull ring. So all of that and more right here on Final Score. Back with you on Final Score as we talk to Philo Wallace, a former West Indies opening star batsman, as we break down what happened in the first test and look forward to the second test as well, still breaking down some elements of the batting side of things. There are some players that I would like to highlight because they seem to have taken 1 or 2 steps forward and about 20 steps backward. First, let's start with the same Jason Holder. On the bowling side of things, he's pretty much doing his job, but with the bat, a few good straight bat shots, and that's about it from him.
Yeah, I think Jason batting has not kicked on at all. There's something fundamentally wrong. I think he loses concentration. He looks good, and then he plays the not close shot, and he's out. We know that he's good. He scored double hundreds. He's one of the leading all-rounders. He's just joined or past Garfield Sobers, I think, with 150 wickets and 2,500 runs or something like that. So there are landmarks as he's reaching. But we would like to see Jason being more consistent with the bat. He's a very important batter in that lineup. along with Kyle Mears as well. So
Oh
Jason
dear.
needs to really up his ante, as a batter in that unit because he's important. He and Joshua Da Silva down there, they're two guys who we thought we could rely on.
Yeah, and you would think you would get some good lower order runs from the two of them, and then you mentioned Kyle Mears there, another. What he could be one of the best all-rounders in the world. Another few steps forward for him, taking wickets against England here in the region, and created quite a stir with one shot he played in Australia. I never heard about one shot talked about so much in the history of cricket, and yet we cannot get the expected runs from him. The double century in Bangladesh, and now that average is around the 30 mark.
Yeah, well, he played a big shot in Australia against a big bowler, Mitchell Stark, on a big ground at Perth. But that was all that happened. Kyle Mears, to me, needs to settle down. He's been around now for a little while, and I think that he should start producing. He's dropped into the middle order because the selectors believe that he's the man down there that can control it. But once the ball is bouncing, there's that vulnerability from Kyle Mears to fence at the short ball. And I think that he's getting work coming to international cricket, and he needs to work a little harder on his batting, particularly to the short balls.
Yeah, and I want to ask you something about his technique as well that I've been looking at for a little while. But we have some questions coming in from social as well, coming in on WhatsApp. One of them, I expect Craig to find back his form. He doesn't stay down for too long. Do you agree?
Yeah, but Craig is a fighter. When you look at it, he will go into the next test match and you look to bat time. Obviously, you heard from his interview that he didn't bat 100 overs, and he'd be looking to do it himself. So I would expect him to get some form in that second test match and get some runs.
And the West Indies can't win even one match in South Africa.
South Africa is a difficult place for us. We haven't done well there in many, many years, and I was hoping that this first test match we would have won. But they need to believe in themselves that they can get over South Africa.
Okay, so if Roach didn't get that 5, and all of these are coming in on our socials, if Roach didn't get that 5, I was ready for the faster Gabriel to open the new ball with Joseph.
Well, I would expect if Roach did not take that 5, I would like to see someone like Akeem Jordan playing if Roach did not take that 5, because I think he has stability when you look at him. Yes, if Shannon is in the team, he will have to, and there's no Roach, he will have to take the new ball, while Alzarri Joseph, that is a given. So if there's no Roach and you're going with Shannon Gabriel, he will have to partner Alzarri Joseph with the new ball.
Okay, so there's another question here coming up about Kyle Mears. What's up with Mears? Ever since early on in the CPL, he's been off the boil.
Yeah, I think he's been playing a lot of T20 cricket as well. And I think that he doubts himself with the red ball. I don't think he's as fluent as he was in Bangladesh. The surfaces are completely different from Bangladesh to South Africa. And when you look at that double 100 in Bangladesh, not taking anything away from him, he got dropped early in the innings, but he went on to score double. So he has to tell himself in South Africa, I have to be a bit tighter and bat longer. And then once he can get in South Africa, he'll score runs because, as we saw with Jermaine Blackwood, he rode his luck and he got 70 odd in the second innings. But you have to be there. You have to spend time at the crease in order to score runs. And Kyle Mears is not giving himself that opportunity at the crease. He's looking to go too hard too early, and he's getting nick off quite easily.
Yeah, quick question about that technique, because I've been looking at it, and for me, he's a back foot dominant player, and that is a problem, especially early on in the innings, because when you're put onto that back foot, you're really looking for trouble in the slip cordon. He's not covering the ball.
If you're hunting on your back foot and the ball is length, you're gonna look to play at it and edge the ball. I think Kyle Mears needs to trigger. His trigger movement needs to cover the off stump. And I think that is the major problem. If he trigger movement goes back and across and covers that off stump, he's going to find himself in a better position to play the length delivery, and he wouldn't get nick off down and slip. So he has to work on that. There's Brian Lara in that camp. There's also the DOC and James Adams in that camp. Andre Coley is the acting head coach. So you have enough around him. And I don't understand why they cannot get it through to him that he needs to just be a little tighter. Or if once Kyle Mears stays tight, he's going to score runs because he's a fantastic timer of a cricket ball.
Any changes for this second test?
Shane, yes, I would make changes if I was a selector, but I don't know if I get the votes. I think the first 4 will stay. Bradford, Chanderpaul, Reef for Blackwood. There's a big question mark for me on Roston Chase. How effective is Roston Chase going to be in South Africa? Certainly his batting in this test match has not really shown us a lot. We have a guy by the name of Devon Thomas, who to me, I like him as a wicketkeeper batter. But if Joshua is going to play because he got 7 dismissals, I would like to see Devon Thomas. He's combative. He will take on the South African bowlers. We saw it when they came in the Caribbean last year, a guy called Kieran Powell from the Leeward Islands. He was batting well. Selectors didn't take it to Sri Lanka, they thought it was wrong. But I think Devon Thomas can offer us something in South Africa with those balls that are bouncing. He'll take them on. The Mears, obviously, we know that Mears can produce, but is he going to produce in the second test match? It's left to be seen. We're going to a quicker pitch. I would like to see Moti in the team. Do we drop Shannon Gabriel and play Moti? Or do we look at this young man and
what about Jordan?
Place a bat in the middle?
What about Jordan?
The thing is that the bowlers will hold their own. Roach will continue. Roach will start. Alzarri, Joseph, Jason Holder. Then you got Kyle Mears. Raymond Reefer did not bowl in that first test match, which is significant because he's a left-hand seamer and he did not bowl. So if you're going to bring in Jordan, then you still can find yourself with 5 or 6 bowlers and the captain is going to have a headache. I think Jordan will only make the side if there is a real injury. I don't think he can get into this side. That's why I don't like 2 test match series. I like 3 test matches. So you can give an opportunity to someone.
Yeah, and I mean, we're really wishing the best for the team. Of course, thank you, Philo, for your expertise and your analysis. But with number 3, I mean, you're not using that left-arm seam bowling option that you have at number 3 there. A lot of things make no sense, but we really hope that things make sense as they go in the bull ring and in that high altitude, and we are wishing them all the best. Thank you for your time. I know it's early in the morning there in the UK, Philo. Always good seeing you. We will have you back on Final Score, of course, right here to spend some time with us. Thank you for your time, my brother.
Thank you very much. All the very best, man. Good night.
Well, that's our analysis on what's happening with West Indies cricket, and a lot more of that will be happening on Final Score for sure. We'll be wrapping up shortly, but before we go, we got to give you that final 60. Well, in our final 60, a reminder that the Sandy Lane Gold Cup, well, that's tomorrow at the Garrison Savannah, of course. Post time is 1 p.m. with the Gold Cup race number 9, set for 10 minutes after 6 in the evening. CBC TV 8 will have live coverage for sure from 3:15 in the afternoon. And we will, of course, have more sports coverage on MCTV right across the weekend. You can catch up on some of the football action there. And that's a wrap this week. Remember, we will be back next Friday with more analysis right here on Final Score.